because there's no malfeasance or anything by the auction house to get $3 million less. But there's been an implicit guarantee that no Wagner has ever sold for less than the one before.
We have a lot to get to in this video, but you just heard Dr. Beckett say no Wagner has ever sold for less than one before. That's the most important quote that you need to listen to. We're going to get into that later in this video. Like, what does he mean? Like, there's an implicit guarantee that the cards will never go down? Like, did he really just say that? Honestly, if you're not subscribed right now, subscribe right now. Like, this is a huge issue, and I'm going to go deep dive on this. There are more videos coming, so just stay tuned. There's an interview. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I've got a lot of evidence. It's going to take a little bit for me to get through everything, but again, if you want to know what's actually happening with this story, stay tuned because this is where you're going to get it. So there's a lot to cover in this video. So let me go through the first piece. So one, this is not a bull market. Apparently, according to the evidence, and this whole controversy is actually exposing that we're not in a free market, that this hobby is not about the comps that you guys think. Now, I already did a video on how to comp your cards, and I went through the Michael Jordan rookie card, the 86 Fleer PSA 10 comp. And a lot of you, not all of you, but some of you did not like that I gave you what I believe to be the actual value of that card. You're like, it can't be because people are paying X amount of dollars for. This story proves that I was right on the actual value of the cards. And if you're not paying attention and you don't know what the real value is, you're going to get screwed. You're going to be the sucker in the room. And that's why this story is so important, which is why when I saw it, and again, Patrick Ryan came out about a week ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, and kind of, announced that he had done this thing, where he had bid on his own card. And it didn't seem like a big issue to me at the time because I was sort of like, that happens. And his explanation made perfect sense if you're doing it through a third party, that you could accidentally bid on your own card. I know that I don't bid that much. I'm not a degenerate gambler, so I'm not on eBay like every single day. And I also want to make this very clear. They were not selling on eBay. They were selling on Fanatics Collect, which I don't know their terms of service. If you know whether or not you can bid on Fanatics Collect, if you can bid on your own cards, put it down in the comments. Let me know. But that's the biggest issue is it allowed by Fanatics Collect to bid on your own cards or not? We're going to get into what shill bidding is in a second. So we got 4 topics for this video. So the first one is shill bidding. The second one's we're going to talk about Dr. Beckett in a second. Then we're going to get into Teapot and Jeff Wilson, the controversy that P. Ryan kind of threw them under the bus, whether that's real or not. And you're going to have an interview this week. I have that lined up. You do not want to miss. Hit the subscribe button now. And if you are liking this content, you have to hit the like button right now because YouTube does not think, I went into my analytics, YouTube does not think you like my videos. So hit the like button so that you can let YouTube know, no, we actually do like the video. We're watching. Can't you see that we're watching? And apparently AI bot on YouTube. No, if you don't hit the like button, it thinks that you're a bot. I don't know. So just do me a favor and hit the like button. All right. And the last piece, the fourth piece, is fake comps, which gets back to that Michael Jordan card. So let's get into it right now. Okay, so the first section of this video is going to be about shill bidding. And why don't we start with what Dr. Beckett says shill bidding is?
Shill bidding is actually defined by intent.
Right.
And they have to assume your intent.
So the question is Dr. Beckett right or wrong? And so what I did is I went and did some research to find out what's the legal definition of shill bidding. And to be quite honest with you, based on the research, there's no legal definition. There's just case law. So there's no law on the books that says that shill bidding is illegal. It's just the practice of doing fraudulent and deceptive practices in an auction. That's illegal. But there's two conditions that you have to meet in order for it to raise to a level of illegality. And so here's what you should know is there's two conditions. So the first one is that you have to be bidding with no intent to buy, no intent to purchase. So if you're in an auction and you bid on your own cards for the whole purpose of just bidding up the price, that's illegal. If you place a bid in the auction and it's your own card and you win the auction, you must pay for it. And if you do, that's not illegal. I know some of you might be like, well, but it should be illegal. And that's a whole different conversation, what should and should not be illegal. There's plenty of stuff that's not illegal that should be, like the fact that our Congress members can, buy and sell stocks. That's not illegal. It should be illegal, but it's not. And so they're not breaking the law. It's just not a very good look. Again, the same thing with bidding on your own cards. It's not a good look, but it's not illegal. Now, the second condition, so that's the first condition. Then the second condition is if you bid on cards in order to deceive the public in terms of the demand for the card, which basically means that if you are in the bidding, let's say there's 5 people bidding on the card, and you get into the bidding, now there's 6 people bidding on the card, and you're bidding along with everyone else, so you're doing 2 pieces. One, you don't want to pay for it. Now you're actually involved in the bidding process. That's deceiving the public that there's more demand. There really isn't. It's you and the other person bidding against each other. That's illegal. So those 2 conditions make it illegal. That's what makes it, a shill bidding. Other than that, it's probably wrong. It's probably unethical, but it's not illegal. So why don't we look at what did P. Ryan actually do? And I'm going to let him tell you based on what he said on the Dr. Beckett podcast.
What happened was I sold through this company called Acquire. It was the first time I ever had anything go to auction with them. And for these auctions that have extended bidding, I bid on so many things when the auction opens. And a lot of times I'm bidding on Heritage or Golden or Fanatics, and I get a notification saying, you're not eligible to bid on this because it's your item. In this case, I see that I bid on it and I go, oh my goodness, that was my card.
It was his own card. Now, I can see that actually happening, especially if you're using consigners. Like if you're doing your own thing, if you're putting it up on eBay, it's your card. But I could absolutely see that you don't know, and especially since he did explain through the podcast that Acquire, who I've never heard of before, doesn't really have the technology there. They're more new to the hobby, I guess. I've never heard of them. If you have heard of them, put it in the comments below. But if they don't alert you to this is your card, and maybe this is part of the issue that we have in the hobby, is there's not really a lot of checks and balances here. Like this is sort of the wild, wild west. Things are just a free-for-all and it's a big problem. But I want to make this very clear. What P. Ryan did is not illegal, but he did make a huge mistake and he does admit that.
The big mistake I made is I promoted the card, posting a screenshot showing that I was outbid. Now, what's so funny is some of the naysayers, they're yelling at other naysayers, calling them stupid because they're like, he didn't shill bid. Because if he was shill bidding, he wouldn't have been so blatant about it.
Now, again, I think that the big mistake, I think he's wrong with what the big mistake was. The big mistake was not that he promoted the card and said, look, I bid on my own thing and I let people know. That's actually not the mistake. The mistake is that you were bidding on your own stuff. And again, we hear Dr. Beckett say that it sounds wrong.
I mistakenly bid on my own item, which is actually very different than shill bidding. And it was wrong, right?
It's wrong. There's morals and ethics, but legalities. And we encourage everybody to abide by the rules of the auction or even the rules of the intermediary consignment broker, which.
So I want to be clear. We're going to get to talk about Dr. Beckett in a second. But at this point, Dr. Beckett has the utmost respect from anybody in the hobby. As Jeff Wilson said, he's the godfather of cards and grading and values. And so far, Dr. Beckett looks pretty rosy. Like he looks like he's the sensible voice in the hobby. We're going to get to what happens later in this podcast, but I just want to make it clear, one, that what P. Ryan did is not illegal. It is against eBay's terms of service. So if he were to have done that on eBay, but Acquire posted it on Fanatics Collect, I don't know the terms of service for Fanatics Collect. I've never bought or sold anything on Fanatics Collect. I've never actually been on it. I have no familiarity with it. I only know eBay, and I know you're not allowed to do it on eBay. And if you do, you get kicked off the platform. So if P. Ryan had done this, even by mistake, if he had done this on eBay, he would have been kicked off the platform immediately because it's against the terms of service. So there is that, I guess, protection from eBay that you're not allowed to do this. It's not illegal, but it's certainly frowned upon. And if you are like, well, it's wrong, I'm in agreement with you. I think it's wrong. If you are not willing to let your cards go, then don't sell them. That's my advice. If you are worried that the card will go for less than what the other cards have sold for, then don't sell the card, or at least don't put it in an auction. The whole point of an auction is it's a free-for-all. You have no idea what's going to happen. I've actually done an auction. There's an auction house here in Arizona. It's called Gray Flannel. And I put up, I think it was 5 items onto Gray Flannel. One was a signed 1993 Los Angeles Kings jacket. And so it was signed by everybody, including Wayne Gretzky. That went for probably for the most amount of money. I don't remember the exact number. I had a signed Gordie Howe jersey, which that actually sold for not that much. Again, there wasn't that much demand at that point. And then I had an autograph. I believe it was a Ken Griffey junior jersey, and then there was another item. I don't remember what it was at this point because that was like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But I talked to the auction house and they said, we think that this is what the items will go for, but we can't guarantee anything. And if you consign something for Golden or for Heritage or any reputable auction house, they will tell you this is what we think the market is, but we cannot guarantee the price. Some auction houses have what's called reserve pricing. So you can say if it doesn't sell for more than this, then I don't want it to sell. Now, for more expensive items, I'm sure that's you have every right to do that, but that means that you don't really want to sell it. Now you can you're going to the market and you're saying, well, where's the demand? But that kind of means if there's no demand for your item, for your card at the price that you're looking for, that kind of means that the price you're overpriced. I don't know what else to tell you. Obviously, you have the right to not sell it if you're allowed to have a reserve, but you need to be aware that you're off. Like you are off. If you're selling on Golden, you're selling on Heritage, you're selling on eBay, you're selling on Fanatics Collect, that's the most eyeballs. These are the biggest auction places in the world. So if your item sells for less than what you want, that means that you're wrong. You are wrong with your pricing. You are wrong with your value. Not the market, not the buyers, not the auction house. You are the one that's wrong. And that's just the way it goes. We're going to get to Dr. Beckett in 2 seconds, but I just wanted to make that point very clear that this is not illegal what P. Ryan did, but I agree with you if you think it's very wrong. It is, and I think based on what he's saying it's wrong as well and that he will never do it again. Now, I can't tell you whether or not that's true or not because he's bidding, apparently from the rest of this podcast, and I listened to the whole thing 3 times because I just couldn't believe the things that the 2 of these guys were saying. But he said, I bid on like 100 different items in these auctions. Now, I understand because I picked up a bunch of stuff from Greg Morris Cards that's on eBay, and they normally have about 50,000 listings all at once. And you have to bid on a lot of stuff because you're not going to win the auctions. What's good about Greg Morris is that they will list the same card multiple times because they have so many different consignments. So people are sending in, everybody's sending in the 1970 card, the 1971, the 65, like the 84, like everybody's sending these in. And so they just list them in order based on your order. So there's I bid on a bunch of Dr. J cards. Well, there were 3 of the same cards going in, one was 1 day, another one was 3 days later, and another one was 5 days later. So I bid on all 3 of them, again, at a low value. I had my, I knew what price I was willing to pay up to. And once the price went above that level, I was done in that auction. I was like, okay, let's go to the next one. And so I was able to actually win 5 cards because I know my price point. And if the auction goes beyond my price point, I'm out. Now, I know a lot of you don't do that. You get caught up in the bidding process. You're like, well, I want this card. And so you bid with someone. But the only thing you're doing is bidding up the price. You are bidding up the price on yourself. These cards are not rare. You should have your price point, and if it goes beyond the price point, let it go. That's the best advice that I can give you. Just let it go. It's not that important. It's just a sports card. It's it. It's just cardboard. It's not that important. Let it go. Anyway, let's get into Dr. Beckett right now.
Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Thanks sponsors, Topps Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins and Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication.
I bet you didn't know he had that many sponsors. And what you need to understand is that means that Dr. Beckett is not independent. Like, this channel is independent. I have no sponsors. Not that I'll ever not have sponsors. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I'll have to be the right deal, but I am completely independent. So no one's buying my editorial. No one's buying my silence. No one's buying my influence. I can't say the same thing for Dr. Beckett. Now, who is Dr. Beckett? Where did he come from, and where's his significance in the hobby? And so for anybody that's been in this hobby for a while, and I've been in this hobby since the 80s. So Dr. Beckett is the guy that started what's called the Beckett Pricing Guide. And back in the day, that was considered like the Bible of card values. You would check it. It came out once a month, and you would check it for all your cards. Now, I'm going to just say this, that I think a lot of people put a lot more stock in the Beckett Price Guide than I did, because I was a dealer from the age of 13 to 18. I was a dealer, and I went to shows in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania almost every weekend during that 5-year time frame. And when you sell a lot of cards, especially at card shows all over, not just in one location. You don't just go to the same show, but you're going to different shows. So any dealer that you see that's going to the Dallas Card Show, the West Coast Card Show, to Fanatics Fest, to the Philly Show, to even, to the Arizona State Card Show that I just was at this past week. If you talk to a dealer that's going to all these different shows, they know what these cards are selling for because they're seeing where the market is in real time based on what they're selling cards at. Like they can see what the deals are at all of these different shows. And so I know there's a lot of people that have been arguing with me over that Ken Griffey 89 Upper Deck card. I think I have it here. For those of you that don't believe me that I have multiples, so here's a case. So these are all 89 Upper Deck Griffeys. Like I said, I used to open up cases, and so I had, I don't know, probably like over 100. I mean, I had a lot. And back in the day, I was selling them for between $200 and $250. That was in 89. That was when they came out. Because this card was the hottest card ever. Like, forget about hype. This was like on rocket fuel. This card was on rocket fuel. So anyway, I used to sell them to the dealers for $200 and $250 each. That was not in the price guide. The Beckett price guide said this card was worth, I think, like $120 to $150 maybe. But I was selling it for way more than that. And I know that all of you are going to be like, yeah, but that's not true. I don't know what else to tell you. It happened. And so I'm giving you this information so that you can see there's a difference between what's printed and reality. And that's what you have to know is the difference between what's expected and then what actually happens. And I'm giving you reality. And so you can make better decisions when you know the true story. So anyway, so that's Beckett. He created the Beckett guide. And then he created, Beckett grading. Here is the Beckett grading. So this is Beckett grading. This is my Derek Stepan. Okay, so this is Beckett grading. So you have the guide, you have grading, and that's the company. All right, so they've been around forever. They've been around for 40 plus years. So Dr. Beckett has all of this reputation. And I think this is part of the problem is that Dr. Beckett has kind of put himself in a no-win situation. He has all of this expertise and he has the reputation that he knows what the cards are worth. Remember, he's the expert on what card values are. So if he says a card is worth X amount and it goes to auction and it doesn't sell for that amount, guess who looks bad? Dr. Beckett. And this becomes the issue that I think he is now in, is that he can't allow cards to be worth less than what he says, even though they're not worth what he says. And that's reality. Dr. Beckett, it's not that Dr. Beckett's a bad person, but I think he's got himself caught. And no one is holding him accountable. At this point, he either better reverse his positioning or we can no longer trust Dr. Beckett. He doesn't really know what's going on because the market is saying that what he thinks the values are wrong. So I want to play for you a bunch of different quotes from him so you can see what I mean.
I've been in situations where I was helping a friend that there were actually 5 stages and I was number 3 in the chain. And so I'm talking to Rick Probstein, who's going to put the cards from my friend's deceased uncle. And he's working through me. And so I call up Rick and I say, look, I'm doing this for a friend of a friend, my good friend, but his brother-in-law passed away. He's got some great cards, not all great cards, but I've given some of these to you. Can I bid on those? Because at X price, I'd be a buyer. There's some decent things in there. And he said, you're not the owner of the cards. I said, I know, but I'm consigning them to you on behalf of my friend whose wedding I was in, who's doing it for his nieces and nephews. And he said, then it's going to eBay. eBay isn't going to catch it. Rick is saying, I understand if you were the consigner of your own cards, then no, you shouldn't do that.
Correct.
Don't bid on it no matter what.
No, no, no. Don't bid on them no matter what. That's a direct quote, or I guess that's a third-hand quote from Probstein. So Probstein was telling Dr. Beckett, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. So I know there's a lot of allegations and accusations against Probstein for shill bidding and promoting this. This is an honest conversation behind the scenes from Dr. Beckett, who's literally just saying off the cuff everything that's happening. I don't think he's aware of the fact that people are actually listening to what he's saying, because I don't think he thinks anything is wrong. I don't think he thinks he's doing anything wrong, even though he's doing it all wrong. And Probstein was telling him, no, do not bid on these cards. I don't care if it's you or whatever. If you want to buy them, obviously bid on them. And that's what Probstein was saying. And that's why it's not illegal. So if Dr. Beckett is helping out a friend and he's getting them to Probstein to consign them, and then he puts them up on eBay, and Dr. Beckett's like, oh, I like those cards, I want to buy them. He knows the money's going to go to his friend, and obviously Probstein is going to get a commission and eBay's going to get their fees. Well, everybody gets paid and Dr. Beckett gets the card. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to say to you, I don't know why you didn't just offer your friend like cash for the card. Like, I mean, if you're going to spend the money, why not just buy the cards? I don't get it. Like, I'm starting to really not understand where Dr. Beckett is coming from. And P. Ryan, the same thing. Like, why are you helping people out if you're going to buy the card? I'm sort of at a loss. If you're going to spend the money, why not just offer your friend before they go to the consignor? They're going to lose money on all the fees. I'm thinking that there's something shady going on here, because otherwise, just give your friend the cash. So, Dr. Beckett, like, you're going to need to explain yourself a little bit more.
Now, the issue that comes up for me that I do want to get out there is that my interest in these items was only in the case of reserve not met. Reserves, I had promised my friend, hey, you're going to get this. I'm giving it to Probstein. He gets good prices. You're not going to get way above market. Some will go below, some will go above, but you're not going to get clobbered.
And there it is. I promise you won't get clobbered. We hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Dr. Beckett is basically saying, I know everything about the market. I know what all these cards are worth. Don't worry about what the auction prices are. Don't worry about the market, people. Don't worry. Everybody else is stupid. They don't know what the cards are worth. I am the expert, and I'm telling you exactly what these cards are going to sell for. When that's not true. It's not even close to true. The auction houses will tell you, and I know that because I went and I had things consigned through auction, and they literally told me this is what we think that they will sell for, but we cannot guarantee it. It's an auction. We don't know. We don't know what people are going to bid on. We don't know what they'll bid up to. We don't know. That's the whole point of the auction, is you go to auction and you see what happens. The fact that the Babe Ruth card, okay, so that card just sold for $3 million less than what was expected. $3 million less than what was expected. That's a big drop in what people think and then what reality is. And I think this is the issue that Dr. Beckett is kind of coming under, which is that he doesn't understand the market anymore. That's it. Like, if you want to have the TLDR, Dr. Beckett doesn't understand the market anymore. He's either too old, he's just out of touch, or he just doesn't know what anything is. Like, he just doesn't know cards. I don't know what else to tell you, but that seems to be the reality. He's wrong. And the problem is because he's built this reputation, he's now getting himself into trouble because now he's just lying to people. He's lying to his friends pretty much. That's what it sounds like. All of his friends are like, oh, Dr. Beckett's the expert on cards. I'll go to him. He knows everything. And then he's trying to manipulate with Probstein and Collects and Fanatics and eBay, and he's trying to manipulate things, and then he's getting caught now red-handed. We see it. He's getting caught red-handed. Sorry, these cards are not worth what you think they're worth. Again, we still got 2 more sections left in this video. We still got to get to the Teapot and Jeff Wilson. P. Ryan threw them under the bus. We're going to get to that right now, and then we're going to get to what your cards are actually worth, the fake comp situation. But you just heard it from Dr. Beckett. I went in and I bid on cards because I didn't like what they were selling for. I didn't actually want the cards. I like the cards, but at that price, it shouldn't sell for that price. Now, I don't know what he did with the cards after he bought them, because it's not illegal if you buy them. I want to make that clear. So Dr. Beckett and P. Ryan are not guilty of actual illegal shill bidding. And that needs to be clear. They did not break the law. It is very shady what they're doing. And if you guys think it should be illegal, then you have to petition your local congressman, because they're the only ones that can make the law. Now, under what I did, I put it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT basically said it's a state-by-state thing. So you probably need to contact your local state senator and state assembly member, and they will be able to change the law in your state that makes this kind of thing illegal. And once one state does it, it kind of like eBay can't really do it by state. They kind of have to follow it across the board. But eBay already doesn't allow it. Now, if Fanatics has the situation where they allow it, then Fanatics will have to follow eBay where it's not allowed in terms of service. Again, it's not illegal, but it violates their policy. Therefore, you can get kicked off the platform. All right, let's get into the Teapot Jeff Wilson controversy right now.
Patrick Ryan goes on his podcast, and the two of them have an extended discussion about what happened, but then it became a broader discussion about what is and is not shill bidding and the nuances of shill bidding and the ethics and the legality and the gray area. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think, and I'm still not sure that I think, that there is much gray area. I thought shill bidding was pretty much a black and white thing. Don't bid on your own items. That's wrong.
Yep.
Well, they don't necessarily see it that way.
So this is the problem. You have people like Jeff Wilson who are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to learn about this hobby. And you have, I would say, hobby goats. I mean, Dr. Beckett is a hobby goat who don't know what they're talking about anymore. They're completely out of touch with reality. And now because they made a promise, like, I know what the cards are worth, and the reality's saying, you don't. You actually don't know anything. Like, Dr. Beckett doesn't seem to know anything. And so that puts a person like Jeff Wilson in a very precarious position, because you just heard him say, I thought it wasn't a gray area. I thought it was pretty black and white. You're not supposed to bid on your own cards. And Jeff, you're right. You're not supposed to do that. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Teapot was like, no, that's wrong. Like, he just sat there and was like, no, you can't do that. I want to make it very clear, and I'm not a big fan of Jeff Wilson, but he just said, I thought it was black and white. This is wrong. Jeff, you're right. It is wrong. And the person who's wrong is Dr. Beckett. Now, what P. Ryan did was not illegal. And I think he admits that it was wrong as well. He said it. He's like, I was wrong. He was mistaken. He's like, I thought the big mistake was that I put it up and I outbid myself, and I got outbid on my own cards, and that was the mistake. No, that wasn't the mistake. The mistake was that you bid on your own cards. That's the only mistake you made. Putting it out there was probably a good thing, because you were saying, look, this is what I did. You didn't apologize right after because you didn't even realize what you did was that wrong. It's wrong. It's not illegal. Again, for everybody watching, it's not illegal. But unfortunately, this situation gets worse because P. Ryan kind of doubles down for some reason and throws Jeff Wilson and Teapot under the bus and accuses them of shill bidding. So here's the post that Teapot put out on his Instagram, and then he put out a statement, and I only clipped a little bit of the audio. So we'll listen to that, and then we'll get to what he said on the Sports Card Radio podcast, which went live a few days ago. So here we go. This is the post, and then here's
Teapot
the audio.
Here, Tyler. Wanted to take a couple of minutes to address some false and frankly serious accusations that have been made against me by, as you can see, the Instagram account Uncut Cardboard, which is run by Patrick Ryan. This post surfaced over the weekend and at some point on Sunday evening, and was taken down at some point between when it was posted and the morning of Monday morning, followed by a long 20-plus story post of apologies. But among those apologies was not any apology made to myself nor to my boss, Jeff, for unsubstantiated claims of shill bidding. And so I want to take a moment to address that.
So Teapot made that statement. He went in and explained. He also put out on Instagram all of the receipts for his own bids, where he was accused of shill bidding. He defended himself. He then went on the Sports Card Radio broadcast a couple days ago, and this is what he said.
I would assume, I don't want to put words in your mouth, slightly sideswiped this week in this, what I would call a tornado of P. Ryan.
I was more surprised by Dr. Beckett than I was Patrick, to be honest. The podcast that Dr. Beckett was defending and defensive shill bidding, and I had never heard that term, was, I don't think I said anything too crazy, except to categorically denounce shill bidding in general and say it's not right. And then all of a sudden on Sunday night, I'm sitting down to watch a movie with my wife, and my friends are texting me going P. Ryan's posting about you shill bidding Pistons cards. And I'm like, what? So I looked at his Instagram and of course screenshotted it. And the next morning it was gone.
So nobody knows why P. Ryan actually went after Teapot or Jeff Wilson. He never produced any proof or evidence. And I am talking to P. Ryan as I'm making this video. So I am trying to get the evidence for you. So I am asking him those questions for you to try to get the actual evidence. Did Teapot do something wrong? Because right now it's just an accusation. It's just an allegation. And one of the problems that we have, not just in the hobby, but just in society in general, is there's a mob mentality on social media. As soon as someone accuses someone of something, everybody jumps up and goes, that person is wrong. And I think that's a problem. I think what we need to do is separate the person, the accusation, from the actual wrongdoing. Shill bidding is wrong, but we don't know if Teapot did anything. And he went on the Sports Card Radio broadcast and he did put out all of his stuff. And based on all of his evidence, again, there's two sides to the story. There could be other evidence, but so far, I don't have anything that proves that Teapot did anything wrong, which means that hopefully everybody here on this channel and in the hobby stops believing what P. Ryan said unless he can provide evidence. The day of where you can accuse people and then walk away needs to be over. We all need to be smart, and you're not being smart if you just listen to someone make an accusation and then automatically make that true. I hate to tell you this, folks, but people lie. People lie. Even your best friends lie. And these people are all liars. Dr. Beckett's a liar. Fanatic's a liar. PSA's a liar. Jeff Wilson's a liar. They're all liars. Now, Teapot came on the Sports Card Radio podcast and he did not lie. He told the truth. He gave the evidence. Now, he's obviously going to only give exculpatory evidence. He's only going to give evidence that makes him look good. The problem is, if P. Ryan doesn't have evidence that proves to the contrary, then we have to go with what Teapot showed us, which means he did nothing wrong. So everybody needs to kind of get off the bandwagon of let's, lynch Teapot here, because that's wrong. And this mob mentality, you need to stop. That's all I can say. But here's how Teapot finished the Sports Card Radio podcast, because I think the last few words that he said were very, very important.
I don't really know what made Patrick kind of go crazy after me. I wish, honestly, my request was that he would admit that was not true so that people can stop talking about it. But at the same time, I've had a lot of people who know me message me and say, like, this is ridiculous. So that's my 2 cents. I try not to act in a too knee-jerk of a manner with things. I try to really think about things. I pray about things. I contemplate. I don't like to be rash, okay? And when all this went down last week and Neo released the clip, and then I listened to Dr. Beckett's full, both parts of the interview, we did cards on the table. I tried to be measured and reasonable. I actually had recorded, like, on my phone, like a voice message with, like, Apple voice memos, a message to Patrick, and, like, wanted to sleep on it. Was, like, considering, do I send this to him? Do I not? And then I found out he was, like, going on a whirlwind tour, like, threatening people. And I just thought, I'm not going to poke the bear. And the message was one of, like, more or less like, hey, it seems like you made a really big mistake. And you just need to admit it. Like, admit you made a really big mistake. And if you can, prove that it was just one mistake.
Which brings us to the final section of this video, which is all about fake comps. What are your cards actually worth? And we've talked about this on this channel. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. But what are your cards actually worth? Go back and watch the Michael Jordan video. Seriously, the 86 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 10, what is it actually worth? And I go through the 4 factors of figuring out the value of your cards. You've got the first one, which is sales history. Then you got pop count. Then you've got, recent sales. And then you have the comparables, the comps, because you have to look at what that card is compared to other cards that are similar to it. And that's how you know what the actual market value is. I talked about it. This card is worth about 60, 65 bucks. That's it. That's all that it's worth. This card in an ungraded condition is worth around 55 to 60 bucks. That's it. That's all it's worth. I just picked up this card at the Arizona State Card Show. This is the Greg Maddux rookie card. Okay, so it is. Okay, so it is the tops traded. What is it worth? It's worth around 6 bucks. Now, what did the dealer want for it? He wanted 12. It's not worth 12. It's worth 6. But I got it in a deal. I did a trade, and so I didn't pay anything for it. And then we've got a vintage one for you. So this is the Jimmy Fox 1940 play ball. What's this worth in an ungraded section? An ungraded condition, it's worth around 100 to 150. If it gets graded, I anticipate it's going to be about a 2, which means it's worth $200. That's what it's worth. Again, these are not big name cards or they're big high dollar value cards, but that's the point. There is a value to your cards. You just need to figure out what those values are. And once you do, you'll stop overspending on auctions. You'll stop getting yourself caught in this bidding war. Because if you know what the card is worth, then you won't overpay for it. You won't put yourself in a position where you pay $500,000 for a Michael Jordan rookie card, like Jeff Wilson did. He unfortunately paid $500,000 for a Michael Jordan. Again, if he was my friend or if I was advising him, now thankfully he has two guys who run Cards HQ for him and they know the value of the cards. They know the comps really well. And so they don't let him overspend on cards. But in his own PC, he continues to overspend on cards because he just doesn't seem to want to know what the cards are worth. I think that's at this point. I think he just likes spending money, which is a certain personality. Some people just like throwing money away. They don't really like cash. I'm the opposite. I would rather have the money than the cards. So I'm more price sensitive than a lot of the people in the hobby. They just will spend whatever. That's why you're buying wax boxes for $300. I saw a Reddit post the other day. I'm not buying wax anymore. It's beyond what I think is reasonable. Even though last year the Topps boxes were the hobby box was $300 per box. It's insane. Like, no box of cards should be worth or should be, priced at over $100 from the manufacturers. That's where you guys need to kind of recognize that you're getting ripped off. The cards are only worth what they're printed on. Fanatics can't make up some number and go, well, they'll be worth X amount in the secondary market. See, that's called manipulation. Whatever the secondary market does, that's the secondary market. Topps should only be worried about the primary market. But see, they've convinced you that you need to buy the cards from them so that you can then go into the secondary market. But you've already lost money on the front end. And this is where the manipulation comes in. I think Sports Card Radio is going to do another podcast on manipulation. I believe they will. I hope they do. If not, hey, Sports Card Radio, please do that. We really do need another video on the market manipulation and all of the different, like if you could do a tree, sort of like who's connected to who. It's kind of like an FBI thing. Like here's the head of the mafia. So you got Michael Rubin and you got Nat Turner and all of these people who are connected, and behind the scenes, they're making, this could be an FBI sting. And I know Sports Card Radio already was contacted by the FBI when they took down the guy that did the fake autos. Well, this is another way that Sports Card Radio could help the FBI in taking some of these people down, because it's illegal to do collusion. That is illegal. It's not illegal to do what P. Ryan did, but it is illegal to collude. And if Nat Turner and Fanatics are colluding, again, if they're manipulating, if PSA is not grading cards the way they're supposed to be grading them, like if they're purposely keeping the pop count low on PSA 10s, and that's manipulated, again, hard to prove because it's subjective, but there's probably an email somewhere or a text message that says, don't grade any more PSA 10s. Make them all PSA 9s. I guarantee that's probably there. That's the smoking gun. But the only way we know that is if there's a lawsuit. And so, again, out to Attorney Tom, there is a lot of problems in the hobby. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I have an interview coming out. I am talking to behind the scenes. I'm talking to the people involved in this story. So I'm trying to do the investigation for you to give you the information you need to know. Don't miss that. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when that video comes out and you don't miss what's going on. I want to thank everybody for joining me. This is Doc saying I'll see you very soon.